Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody to the regular meeting of North Branford Planning and Zoning Commission for Thursday, September 5th. In attendance are regular members Mace, DeFrancisco, Cienza, Galdenzi, and Dulac. Also sitting with us tonight is our town attorney, Barbara Schellenberger from Cohen & Wolf. Did I get that right?
Schellenberg.
Schellenberg.
Sorry.
Okay.
No problem.
I got some faulty information.
That's right. Claim carried.
Our first order, well, welcome. Our first order of business is we have two sets of meeting minutes. The first one would be from July 11th. And do you have a copy of those?
That's them.
Oh, they are? July 11th, let's see who was there. Bill, the reason why you don't have it because you were absent, and Trish was absent, so it was just myself, Alex, and Ron.
I'm also those. I'm sure also those.
Works for me.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes on July 11th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion on the minutes? I think we reviewed them last couple of meetings, but all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Trish and Bill abstain. That passes 3-0. That's that one. And then our last set of minutes from the 15th, which all of us were there. Gary, Bill, Alex, Ron,
One
and Trish.
question I just had about these meeting minutes, because I was not there, the discussion on the coverage, the text amendment regarding the coverage, there was a motion, it said in the minutes to continue it to October 4th. I didn't know, so I did not include it on this agenda, but I wanted to make sure that was correct. I think it, first of all, the 3rd is a meeting, not the 4th, but I didn't know if anyone
I believe it
recalled.
was because you made in one of your notes you made us continue it, a suggestion to continue it
Okay.
to that date that you had listed there.
Okay,
So it's whatever date you suggested there.
Gotcha,
So whether
okay.
it's the 3rd or the 4th.
perfect, okay. Great.
So do we
Thank
want
you.
to just amend that? Where let me see where it's at.
That, if, I think it's okay then.
Okay. All right.
I just wanted to confirm.
Okay. Someone like to make a motion?
I move to approve the minutes of the August 15th, 2019 meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes 5-0.
No.
Hi,
Harry.
sorry to like
Nope.
derail.
Oop,
I abstained from that one
why did you abstain?
because I
You're on
recused
it.
for part of it.
Yeah, but you were here for the other part of it.
No, I know, but
Yeah, no, you can vote for the meeting minutes, right?
So actually, this is kind of along the same lines I wanted to ask Barbara while you're here. So often, we'll have a set of meeting minutes for a meeting, and say we have 3 members at this meeting, but it's for a meeting that only 2 or 1 of the members was in attendance of. Can those 3 members still vote on those minutes?
No, not.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can't, I mean, you can't approve minutes for a meeting that you weren't at.
Or not?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
sure.
That's what I just wanted, I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure.
Vote. You can do it. You were here for the rest of it. I mean, you.
Well,
you
let's
would-
ask. We have a.
No, he
value,
recused yourself, but you still, if you were part of these and there was an error, we would expect you to correct the error and
Correct.
vote on the ones that you did. You recused yourself in that one portion of the hearing.
Yes.
So you wouldn't have any input on that one, but. so,
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Otherwise, I've been doing it wrong for 14 years.
Yeah.
I'm
not like.
And I learned from a very good chairman. What's that?
Would you mind signing? Did you?
I
oh,
did, yeah, I did both of them.
You're good.
Okay, so we now have a continuation of a public hearing, that's application 2019-11, and that is for 1565 Middletown Ave. So I think we left off in pretty good shape, if I recall.
Also,
We did the,
myself,
yeah,
there was a couple of outstanding items.
Yep.
We did get just today, and I apologize, the lighting consultant, lighting plan information. Here's that
Additional.
additional fee.
There was an additional fee of $50.
The lighting plan, and we did not yet have WPCA approval, which we got just this past Tuesday. So, as you said, I think we're in pretty good shape.
okay.
Really, if you have any additional questions.
Yep. So the one thing that I had, and then you can maybe review the lighting with us a little bit, if there's anything, some of the highlights. But one of the questions I had was when we were talking about retail. So, associated retail with inside the building. So, the square footage of that was one of the questions I had. Where that's going to be in the building, roughly square footage associated with that.
Yeah, the numbers, I don't think it was a big area. Mike, you know that?
Say that again, sorry, the square footage.
Of the retail?
The retail area that's in the building.
So first of all, it's going to be inside the building.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
500 square feet is what we, to sell locally grown produce and meats that are used in the restaurant.
Right, the basement, if you will, area that's under the new hall, that will have basically sections.
Okay.
And one of those bays would be for that, the other would be cold storage and meat storage and that sort of thing.
And that storage area is also going to be used for the storage area for all the stuff being used in the restaurant, correct?
For what's on the property.
Okay.
And the restaurant. Hanging beef,
Yes.
for lack of a better analogy.
Now,
Can
go ahead,
you
Bill.
just get the artist rendition and point it out? It's like probably easier to see that way. Looks like one of those bays there.
Here's
Yeah,
the
the
main
lower bay,
level, it's
right?
actually full.
Oh, down there, yeah, gotcha, okay, so yeah, gotcha. Yep.
So, can you explain on the plan, not the rendering, it has a building that's separate. So can
Yeah,
you just
so-
explain like the purpose of putting it on there, just so everyone understands?
Yeah, and so this is a future building. If something changed in the regs, or we need to sometime in the future get a change, modification or a variance, whatever, for additional retail, if this, depending on how this does, and if this, a picture like these villages kind of thing, where they handmade stuff is sold on property, that kind of thing. If at some point in the future that becomes an issue, or the retail sale of the food stuff become more than they anticipated, we were just providing a space for a potential building in the future, but there's no plans at this point to put that in. We were just not sticking our head in the sand and saying, okay, can we fit it? So that's that.
Where is it?
So, yeah, so that's just future use. So if
We would need to come back for that.
and there probably would need to be a change in the text of it, because right now I think
Right, in the regulation. So the retail that's part of the existing building and/or the addition falls under the regulations of, associated with the restaurant. So it's retail that's part of the restaurant use, that's an associated permitted use. It's
So-
accessory to the permitted use.
So just
But if
repeat,
there's a
because that was
separate-
my question. So retail, how it is being proposed right now, does fall under Section 23, Schedule Line C5?
So that's the restaurant use. There's D-3, which is accessory uses customary with and incidental to any aforesaid permitted use, subject to the securing of a special use permit, which this is, and the site development plan. So it's part of the contained building, and I think of it as like the prepared meals component of like a restaurant, or like the ice cream sale. It's not a separate building with separate products per se.
So Carrie, for the purpose of tonight, that falls with that, but as you mentioned, this extra piece down the road, because it's a separate building, would then have to be reviewed.
Right. Right, because the site, and you probably went over this at the last meeting, so I apologize, but this is zoned residential, but there was a use variance that was granted to allow the restaurant use to continue, even though we know the building was built back in 1960s? 69. So it had operated as a restaurant probably until like the 90s, but then...
94, 6.
Okay. And
Then
then
there was another span that it became
The Cedars.
what's that?
It was called the Cedars.
rehab.
The Cedars,
Yeah.
right, in a rehab facility.
Right, the Cedars, that was a rehab.
So because it converted and went more conforming towards the residential as opposed to the restaurant use, and we couldn't really prove that they abandoned the use, but it was just a smart move to get the use variance to secure the restaurant use. So that was done, and so they're covered for that. But if you continue to move away from the residential and away from the restaurant use, more towards retail, I would just encourage the commission to look at that at a future point.
Yeah.
But for this use, it's covered under the use variance for restaurant use, and then any associated retail, I think is
We're aware of
right.
Do you need to have that proposed building, future building in this
that.
discussion right now? No, I don't know
There's
if,
a-
I didn't know if there's
So
any
I
value
think
of
it's labeled appropriately. It says
okay.
proposed future or potential or something like that. And the motion that I prepared clearly states, and we can clarify this if you'd like, but it just says to allow a restaurant use and associated retail within the existing building and proposed addition to the existing building,
Yeah.
as opposed to a separate new
Right.
building.
And if, like Carrie said, right now, it's a use because it's inside the building, but if they move the retail outside, then, as he mentioned earlier, they would have to come back for some revisions, whether it's a text revision within the regulation or something else. Now, do we have any other outstanding, can you just run us through the lighting real quick, since we just received it?
Yeah, so it's an oversized sheet, so I didn't have it on the board, but I did carry a couple copies. I have another copy.
Do you want to pass
Yeah,
one
you
down?
wanna pass one down?
You take that, please.
I'm good. I have a great view from the thing.
So the lighting plan they have will be a mix of this type of fixture. I actually showed this to you this type of can that hangs, something a little more low level, and then some typical LED parking lot lights that would be at the outside of this. I was just saying to Andy that we're going to revise this a little bit and change some of the ones on the inside of the perimeter. We have enough of these as far as I'm concerned, too many of the others. But if you look at the
Is this
light
the
levels,
bridge?
we're not spilling out anywhere over this property. So.
Can I ask you just a couple of questions, because I'm just not familiar with this. What is like these, inside each of the boundaries, it says OM5, OM2, OM2, SL4.
So the OM are these type.
Okay.
And the SLs are the ones that look like.
Oh, okay, so
They're
that's
just
the
small
actual-
numbers.
The other one.
I gotcha.
They look like this.
Gotcha.
And they are, if you look in the back, the bug rating is a 0 up light, so they
Yep.
are dark sky friendly.
Is there going to be anything on the walkway leading up to the silo?
Anything down here would be like bollard kind of.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well,
Yeah,
less than
yeah,
900.
yeah, gotcha.
And then why are all these a little bit different? These, like, they're all different curvatures?
They're different.
Because of the elevation and different things?
Well, they have different light throws.
I gotcha.
I'm not the lighting guy, but.
Okay.
So this has a different pattern than this one.
I gotcha.
So he's trying to keep the overlaps down, so
I
it's not so
gotcha.
bright.
Yep. Understood.
But these are, what I'm showing you
Yep.
there, and the intent was that these in the middle here were supposed to be also that way. And I won't change anything on the perimeter, but we're gonna have them change those in here.
Okay.
These OMs?
Yes.
Oh, OMs are nice.
The only thought that I had was that, just a question about the light onto the river, just thinking about the wetlands folks. Just kind of a thought to keep in mind if you do
Well,
any tweaks.
I mean, part of this, he does want people to be able to look down at the butt.
Yeah.
These can, all these new LED type fixtures can be adjusted to where the throw is. So
Okay.
these could be changed to this type of thing where it has less back.
Yeah. How about, any further conversations with DOT about the?
No, other than we met them and they were okay with all of it. The only thing they wanted was they mentioned the existing drainage outlets that are off the old driveway. And they wanted us to rip out that one. So we'll handle that at the time we do the bridge construction. And the other things, they wanted the guardrail continue where the old driveway was.
Oh,
Yeah,
right,
block it.
that makes
It's gotta-
sense.
it's gotta be connected.
Okay.
Do you still need that old driveway to service the lower part, that existing bridge, and the service underneath there? You're just gonna block so no one
No,
from
that-
the public drives down there?
The driveway coming off of the state road will get, the 2 minutes will get removed from there.
Yeah.
The guardrail will get fixed. The bridge will stay in place except for the planking will get removed,
Okay.
because of safety. So you have to use a steel that spans between the two head walls to keep the head walls in place, but the steel will be moved so people can't walk out there. There's really no way to,
Decking.
no matter what you do, there's really no way to keep it safe out there, so prevent foot passage, basically.
But there'll still be access there if they had to service anything underneath there, like the sewer going out and stuff like
From the
that,
lower parking lot level, you'll still be able, they would still be able to get down.
for maintenance and repair and,
Yeah,
okay.
conduit problem.
Yeah.
Anybody have anything else?
The new bridge is going over top of it, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course, yeah. You just
Yeah,
said-
and that was one of the concerns from the wetland commission,
Yeah.
to remove the decking below so that.
Yep.
Anything else? So this was a public hearing that was still open, so anybody from the public like to speak on this? I know we have a full house tonight, so, I know everybody's waiting.
Please keep it to
So-
the 3-minute rule.
Yes. Any comments must be under 3 minutes. So I need somebody to make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Ron said it first. He beat you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, that passes 5-0. Okay. So now we're going right back to this. So we have agenda item number 5 is a possible action on the public hearing for 1565 Middletown Ave. So before we can have any conversation, Bill, or somebody would like to read this, and then special conditions 22 and through 24, if you want to do it, or whoever wants to do it.
Whoever.
Okay.
Get some glasses at some point.
Okay.
I move to approve planning and zoning application 2019-11, special use permit request under section 23, Schedule A, line C5, to allow restaurant use and associated retail within the existing building and proposed addition to the existing building at 1565 Middletown Avenue, map 67B, lot 85. It's R40 zone, owner 1565 Middletown Avenue, LLC, applicant James Preddy, Criscola Engineering, LLC, as described in the submitted application and shown on the following map and drawings prepared by Criscola Engineering, LLC, 420 East Main Street, Branford, Connecticut, entitled Existing Conditions Property located at 1561 Middletown Avenue, Branford, Connecticut. Property survey, sheet 1 of 1, dated April 3rd, 2019, revised June 4th, 2019. Second is the property located at 1565 Middletown Avenue, North Branford. Existing conditions plan, sheet 1 of 6, dated June 19, 2019. Site layout plan, sheet 2 of 6, dated June 19, 2019. Site grading and utility plan, sheet 3 of 6, dated June 19, 2019. Proposed site details, sheet 4 of 6, dated June 19, 2019. Proposed site details, sheet 5 of 6, dated June 19, 2019. Erosion and sediment control notes and details, sheet 6 of 6, dated June 19, 2019. And Christensen's Landscape Services, 525 Reeds Gap Road, Northford, Connecticut, entitled Concept Planting Plan, Pizzuto Property, 1565 Middletown Avenue, Northford, Connecticut, dated June 12, 2019. And Scott Design LLC, 6 Spring Rock Road, Branford, Connecticut, and Ronald E. Zoker, Architect, 9 Shore Drive, Branford, Connecticut. Entitled Existing Conditions, Mill Pond Tavern, 1565 Middletown Avenue, Norfolk, Connecticut. Sheet extension 1, 2, 3, and 4, all dated, well, different dates. So, sheet extension 1, 2, 3, and 4, and additions to Mill Pond Tavern, 1565 Middletown Avenue, Norfolk, Connecticut. Sheet A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, and A6, all dated April 24th, 2019. We're not over yet, guys. Scott Design LLC, 6 Spring Rock Road, Branford, Connecticut. Ronnie Zoker, Architect, 9 Shore Drive, Branford, Connecticut. And Mars Engineering LLC, 58 Orchard Hill Road, Branford, Connecticut, entitled Renovation Maltby Stevens Factory Site, North Branford, Connecticut. Sheet S1, Sheet S2, and Sheet S3, all dated October 16, 2018, with the following standard conditions: 1A, 2, 4, 7, 9, 10, 14, see below, and special conditions 22 and 24. Should I read the special conditions?
Yes.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
22.
And special condition 22 is property owners shall obtain all necessary permits and approvals from Connecticut DOT prior to issuance of zoning permit. Special condition 23, property owner is responsible for meeting the requirements of the deep construction stormwater general permit prior to issuance of a zoning permit. Special condition 24, property owner shall obtain local floodplain development permit prior to issuance of a zoning permit.
Is there a second? Okay, seated for this public hearings, regular members, Mace, DeFrancesco, Sienna, Galdenzi, and Dulac. All right. Okay, so-
So then, reasons for.
Well, yeah, so any discussion on this?
Here's some reasons if you want reasons.
Well, seeing none. So whoever seconded it, you get to
Kick it
go
off.
first and state your reasons, please.
I think this is one of the fastest discussions we've ever had.
Well, yeah.
That's
I mean-
like, it'll
That's
never
our,
happen.
yeah.
Just what I want to say is I didn't stop Bill after 3 minutes. He didn't follow the 3-minute rule.
I was gonna volunteer
I
to
did,
read,
I
but
was,
because
I
I
was.
got
It was
booted
three-
down at the end.
It was 3 minutes,
What's happening now?
3 minutes and 18 seconds.
Yeah, I just started to now I don't want.
All right. I make a motion to approve application.
No, you're,
No,
you're,
you already
made
did
a mo-
that.
you're
You're
seconding it.
Yeah, second. So just read.
Yeah, you're just voting on
support
it.
it, yes or no?
Voting with your
Your
reasons.
reasons.
Yep.
Voting
Okay.
and then
I vote yes to approve this application, as there's a number of reasons for which this application should be approved for. Mainly, it's restoring a piece of our history of the town and a historic aspect of the town, and conforming with what the structure used to be, and also, as we've discussed prior in tonight in previous meetings, with what the regulations have for that particular area. Particularly, this parcel has been, I think, in limbo for a while, and it's nice to see that we have an applicant that's willing to take on this application and possibly restore it to its former glory, and following all the regulations that we have in front of us. So I vote yes.
Trish?
I vote yes for the same reasons, and it's just an asset to our economic development, and I'm excited to visit a place that I've heard my parents talk about since I was a kid.
Excellent.
Right?
I vote yes also. I was one of the first customers of the Mill Pond Tavern.
Rodney's like,
And that's the
for
truth.
the same reasons?
For the same reasons,
Thank
and also, with the economic development as a destination restaurant, it will pull more people into that area, which will help the adjoining businesses up and down the road.
I vote to approve the application as well for many of those same reasons. That site has been in disrepair, and this application really is going to restore it and expand it and make it, I think, a great place to be.
And I vote yes for the same reasons. We hope you have good success with it. It's it's a good plan. It's, you're revitalizing, part of history and a restaurant that used to be there, and I wish you all the best of luck. That passes 5-0.
Are you going to keep it the same name, or is that a surprise?
No, the goal is to keep it the mill pond.
Oh.
The mill pond tavern, and we're going to do steaks and all the things that it used to be. I just want to take a second to thank you all, because it was a lengthy process, but every step of the way, it was a forward-moving process, and a pleasure to get through, honestly. It was not a big deal. And I thank you all for
Now the easy part. Just
Yeah, exactly.
Now you're the easy
Yeah,
part.
we got me so far.
Yeah, you thought this was
Yeah, right.
Thanks for your time.
All right. Next one is old business, 418 Forest Road.
I'll recuse myself for this part.
All right.
You don't have to leave the room. Point of
You can sit
Robert's
back.
rules.
Yeah, you
as-
don't-
If
I
you're
don't-
recusing
I
yourself,
just-
you can
it's not
sit
an
there.
issue.
Yeah, as a citizen.
You
don't have to
you
leave
can
the
sit
room.
there because there might be some questions that need to be answered, being you're the applicant.
Okay.
So you can stay here. Yeah. Yeah, 'cause we
In
need.
the room, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, evening, everybody. Just for the record, again, my name is Sylvia Rakowski, and I'm counsel for Alex and the Stewards of the Land Farm Brewery. We're here, obviously, from a continuation of a couple weeks ago with regard to modifications to the site plan. You have an updated memo from me, sort of detailing all of the nooks and crannies, but the major modifications, just as a reminder, are a scooching of the patron parking lot and an elevation of it to accommodate or eliminate the, I'll say, crazy handicap ramp that we had previously. And then as an alternative to the old driveway, using an access way off of Augur Road as the emergency private employee and very limited loading access. So since our last meeting, we took the opportunity to go ahead and meet with some town officials again. We met with the fire marshal, we met with the town engineer again, or the building official. We also met with the chief of police to discuss the access as well as any other associated changes. So we've gone back and forth and made some additional edits and provided some information for you on the plans. The only thing that we didn't discuss the last time, and I assume we'll go back to questions with regard to access, and I just want to flag this because it wasn't in my original memo, is there's a little bit of a shift of what the patron area is in the building. If you recall previously, we had the interior existing space of the old house, and then we had a patio off the side here. We've eliminated the patio to allow for the parking and essentially for the parking to be in the appropriate area. So the patron area now includes the prior interior of the property, the addition, the addition portion that was previously not going to be opened up until we had the sprinkler system all in place. Since that, we've done some recalculation and met with the fire marshal, and it's been determined that the building at this stage does not need to be sprinkled. And when I say at this stage, in this configuration. So if there's any other additions that are built to the property, that obviously changes. But based on the fire code, the current fire load of the property does not actually require to be sprinkled. So the fire marshal has allowed us, or at least stated to us, that we can go ahead and open that back area. So the patron area at this point, or the patron area that determines the parking, is going to be all of the interior space, and in lieu of the patio at this particular time, opening up the porch, which will be obviously, well, I imagine all of you have seen it at this point. It's consistent with the old residential porch on the front, and will be fully enclosed, and if a gate is required there, then that's what we'll do as well. So that's the only other shift that we've made, just in lieu of a bunch of other things, and to be able to open sooner than later. So I believe back over here, we had talked about employee parking. What we've done is located 5 spots there at this point, again, strictly private employee parking. We've scooched the dumpster over just a little bit as well. I believe you have a letter from the fire marshal just asking for us to rotate the dumpster somewhere between 0 and 90 degrees just to accommodate essentially the turnaround in here. And then we've also put in that turnaround. We've made an appropriate turnaround that your engineers reviewed. And it is sufficient for a 30-foot fire truck that's obviously a fixed axle to be able to navigate there as well. So rather than boring you with all of the details, I'm happy to answer any questions or focus on any concerns that you have specifically.
Why was the propane tank, so there's a number of changes besides the 3 that you listed from the original plans. So the propane tank was originally in the ground.
Yes.
So, and if there was any thought of putting a loading dock in there, why was the propane tank not left in the ground where it wouldn't be even near the loading area to now right in the loading area?
A couple of reasons, and let me start by saying all of the changes that you've got before you have been an evolution, which is not the way that it's intended and not the way that we hope that we would proceed with this project. We hope that we would just give you a plan set and you'd never have to sort of hear from us again unless it was a happy moment of expansion. There's been a level of, or a certain amount of evolutions that this project has had to take on for one reason or another, so unfortunately I'll acknowledge that we're a little bit of a cart before the horse in this situation, and I'll apologize for that, for whatever it's worth to you, and note that we're trying to make amends. With regard to the propane tank, one of the reasons there was essentially the pump house, the suppression tank. There a certain amount of structures needed to be a certain amount of distance from other structures, so that's how that ended up there.
And then the garage door and the retaining wall weren't on the, so the garage door that was on the building was not on the original plans, or the retaining wall. So that's...
The garage door was on the original plans, it just was on the same level as the main level.
Right.
So what happened was, they decided to drop the brew house portion of it down into the basement, partially because it was a more feasible space to be able to move around, and partially to allow for the aesthetics of folks viewing the brew area, which is a very popular thing. So obviously when they dropped it into the basement, the garage dropped down to the basement level, and then it necessitated the retaining wall to get access into it.
You said the porch was enclosed, you mean just railings
Right,
around it?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, I
It's
mean
not-
that someone couldn't access and get inside the building.
That's what I
So, just along those lines, in front of you all are floor plans. And you may have looked at them at the last meeting, but that highlights the first floor plan again, the porch area. And then the one change from the plan that you have in front of you is that instead of having that wall separating the patron area from the back portion,
I've got it up here too, Carrie.
oh, sorry, yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there used to be a wall, the plans that you have have numbered bar stools at the bar. There used to be a wall somewhere around the stool number 10, and that was what was anticipated to be opened and only could be opened once the building was sprinkled. And obviously, since that's, the recalculations have shifted that wall, we just won't be putting in that wall. And that made for the additional bar stools that you see, and then this is the blank place back here is the brew house. It's dropped a level below, so it's a little bit of a balcony. It is glassed all the way up so that you can't obviously access it and get into it. And there is no actually ability to get into the brew house from inside the building. But we have bar stools located against essentially a little bar area.
I have a question. Just in the, I don't know if I'm moving ahead, but in the chief of police's letter, he cites that, as it was explained to me, the driveway will primarily be used for employee parking, trash removal, propane deliveries, and farm vehicles during off-peak times. You know, but over here in the use, you talk about, you know, the loading. I mean, was that also explained to him, that that's also going to be what it's used for?
Loading is a term that's in your regulations, so we don't intend on any loading per se, it's just the term that's used in your regulations, so that's the term that I use.
Because wasn't it, you know, we were concerned about the bigger trucks going in there?
So to go back to that access, the only trucks per se, if that are going to be going back there at all, and this is on a once a month, if at most twice a month basis, is going to be the truck that fills the propane tank, and then the truck that gets to the dumpster. Any other loading, so to speak, is really going to be by farm vehicle, which is the same kind of vehicles that are already accessing that old farm road back there. So your gators, your tractors, that kind of stuff.
Okay, that's helpful, just to make sure he was getting the same information.
We have no reason to anticipate any kind of tractor, trailer trucks, anything of that sort.
Yeah, that's where my head goes when I hear loading.
Well, we can't, we can
can't.
say that,
But that could change.
but that, anything, if somebody comes and brings something in, I mean, a garbage truck is a big truck going through there. And, I mean, during the public hearing, the conversation, the largest part of the conversation was the intersection of Auger Road and 22. I understand that you talked to the fire chief and the police commissioner, and they said they're not game stoppers, but they are not optimal either. This isn't something that they requested that would be better or suited. Just to make that clear, it's not a better setup. It's not a game stopper from the conversations that you had with each of them and with Carrie. So I just want to make sure that it's clear that this isn't a better setup. Because when we did the original site plan, DOT and our fire and police chiefs did not have any issues with that turn on 22. Okay, so it's not, this is a better setup. It is not necessarily a better setup. Okay, it's better for the applicant because now it can go right into his loading dock. But the public comments that a number of people voiced, and from this commission, was that we did not want anything to happen off of Auger Road for a number of reasons. Now, you've already done this work, and you put this commission and staff in a really tough position. And I just want to make sure you can apologize, but that's all this work, all these proposed things that are there were already done and put there. We do not have to say, hey, maybe we can move the propane tank somewhere else away from the loading dock. That is not a game stop according to the fire marshal, but it is not even close to being optimal. There's also, why can't we move the trash bin, or the whatever you want to call it, to somewhere in the parking lot and use the parking lot? So it's going to be off hours or off hours. Why can't that be moved over into the parking lot so then the garbage truck can use the main entrance, pick up, take out, and doesn't have to go down Auger Road? Because right now, that swing, and you even on your plans, you have the truck going into the other lane to swing in. Right as it stands now, even though you're going to move another 7 feet from 35 to 43, if I'm not mistaken, is the number, it's still going to be a tough swing for a garbage truck to pull in there. So I still have general concerns about that. Now, the employee parking, there's employees there even if it was a farm. I have less concern with that than using that is for loading and the garbage removal. Can trucks pull into the parking lots, this is off peak, and take things into the building through the main parking lot instead of having to come through the Auger Road? Just leave that as employee parking, emergency services, and have everything go through the main parking lot. Has that been considered?
Well, yeah, so you've asked a number of different things.
No, I only
so-
asked one. The last one was one. I was stating the other ones.
Well, you've made some statements that I would like to address as well, but to
Please.
get to just go backwards, we did consider putting the dumpster somewhere in this vicinity here. The dumpster here it turned out not to be feasible for a variety of reasons, including that it would prevent any expansion or additional parking. There is some
Well, you can
basic-
move. Excuse me. But you can move if you go to expand. You can move it. It's only a dumpster. It's not a permanent fixture. It's
Yes,
just,
but then the question would be, where do you move it to?
Well,
And it would
we-
be further away from the building.
well, you could, when you do reconfigure, you could just reconfigure. I mean, we're talking about expansion, we're talking about something we have right now. Future expansion, you can always, I mean, it's a dumpster. I mean, it's on wheels for the most part. Can be moved.
Well, your question was, did we consider it? And I'm answering your question
Okay.
is, yes, we did consider it, and it was determined that it was not feasible for a variety of reasons.
Okay.
And again, the dumpster, whatever vehicle is picking it up, this isn't, these are private dumpsters. This is a small size private dumpster. It'll be a smaller vehicle.
We
than
don't know
the-
that.
If I may?
Please.
If I may, you've raised a series of issues, and I'd like the other
I
commission members to.
apologize. Go ahead.
It'll be a smaller truck, and it'll quite frankly be much smaller than a 30-foot fixed axle fire truck. And that's what is accommodated here. And again, both the fire chief and the fire marshal have evaluated this numerous times. We've sat down and said any issues whatsoever. They have no concerns whatsoever. They didn't even require the turnaround. They were totally comfortable with the way that it is here. I do want to correct the statement that no one said that was a better access, because that's not true.
Okay.
You have letters from your fire chief and your fire marshal. The letters are not exhaustive, and they don't document every single conversation that we had. We did have a conversation prior to our last meeting here with all of those individuals as well, and absolutely everyone in the room, which included DOT, fire marshal, fire chief, and what did I miss? The chief of police, including your engineer, all agree that that was a better access in lieu of this. And Carrie was present at that meeting, and she can verify whether I'm making any statements.
No, what I'm saying is that nobody had an issue with it on 22. So whether it's a slightly better or not, but that was the thing, because that was the biggest discussion we had, was the Auger Road extension.
Agreed. It was the biggest discussion.
Yeah.
I will highlight again, I mentioned this last time around, but the applicant didn't initiate this driveway at all. What the plan was, when the retaining wall was put in, obviously we needed to facilitate a workaround. The plan at that point, and you could see there was a little bit of a dirt path there, was to have a driveway going around the corner here. And that's what our plan was. It was, the only way that this conversation started was when the fire marshal made that request.
Well, that was for
This
the pump house, because the pump was in the back.
Well, it was for a couple things.
Well, no, that's because originally it was in front. The connection for the fire for the sprinklers originally on the original plans were in front, correct?
No, there wasn't sprinklers.
There was a Siamese.
The
There's
Siamese.
There may have been.
The Siamese
So-
was on the front, so that's why there was in the front. Then your new plan has it moved back to the back. You don't need the full suppression system, but you move the back to the back. Well, now of course the fire department that has to be, because you don't want the fire truck to pull in and have to go all the way around the back. I'm 100% agreement.
But it
has to come in
didn't
that way.
happen in the order that you
Oh,
think
okay.
it happened.
All right.
The sprinklers that were put in the sprinklers were put in after the fire department came in and said, this is what we want to do. That the sprinklers weren't put in beforehand.
So the original plans, so the fire marshal re-looked at the original plans and then said, we have to change all this.
I don't know whether he was looking at the plans or whether he came to the site specifically, but the fire marshal came to us, and my understanding of the conversation, and Carrie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, was the fire marshal came in and said, this access isn't going to work. I don't want to have to stop a truck on Forest Road and shut down the traffic. You guys already have an existing Forest Road there. That's where we want our access. And that's what started this conversation. So I'll fully acknowledge that there's been some other modifications that, again, have been cart before the horse. Acknowledge. This is not one of them.
Okay.
I also think we have to be careful comparing a fire truck with sirens and lights to, so I'm a psychologist, so constantly hammering me with the word infrequent once a month, that's a little manipulative because we don't know if it's going to be that. So we can't continue to focus on those words because that can never always be guaranteed, so we have to be very clear about that for us and the public. But comparing the possible frequency or infrequency of, the trash removal, propane deliveries coming in and out to an emergency vehicle with lights and sirens, I think we have to stop making that comparison because there is no comparison. So I just need to put that out there.
I agree.
Because I could see lights and sirens, I could see lights, I could hear sirens. I might not see those other vehicles coming in and out. So we just have to stop saying it's okay because the fire truck's going to be there. It's not, because it's a very different vehicle. That makes people aware it's there.
So I wasn't comparing the use of it anything else other than the size of the truck. My understanding is that there's concern about the size of the truck and whether it needs to swing out and how it maneuvers. So my only comparison was with whatever truck deals with the propane tank or the dumpster is smaller than the truck that we've anticipated and planned for. This has been engineered to allow a truck to get in that's 30 feet fixed axle. That's my only illustration for you there. If you want to make distinctions between the use, that's another thing. That was my only reason to compare because...
No, but just the way the
that's what it's
conversation went
engineered
last time and this time, I think the public would see like, oh, they're saying the fire marshal's saying a fire truck's okay, so that means everything else is okay.
No,
and I just want to
the
make that
fire-
distinction more for the
The
public.
fire marshal is saying that this access is okay because a fire vehicle can navigate there.
Yes.
That's it.
I think the other, sorry, go ahead.
Will they, in fact, because I recall the,
Sorry.
not the fire marshal,
Fire chief?
the fire chief stating, and we had a discussion, that he will not take his fire trucks off of the road. So that being the case, you know, and I'd be honest with you, I stopped and looked around. Your building is what, 10, 15 feet off the road, and the road is flat? And it's on a level plane, and to take a fire truck down a farm road, which is different standards, that thing is going right down to the axles.
So when you
But
say-
what I guess what I'm
So-
saying, let me finish. The fire chief said he will not take his trucks off the road. So the building being 10, 15 feet off of Forest Road, which is Route 22, you know, I can't believe someone said because of the fire, they didn't want to stop traffic, you know. His fire trucks will pull up to the front of the building on a strong road and do whatever they have to do, as opposed to going down by the river, you know, and then try to manipulate around the back of the building when you can just pull up in front of the building and do what you have to do?
Well, so let me correct a couple things. So the river's back there, they're not navigating around the building or even going to the back of the building. They're
It's
pulling up right to the
farmland.
building.
It's farmland.
But-
It's not intended to be
So let me...
a strong road.
It is, and we've actually had a recent conversation because we did go to wetlands about, there's a small portion of this that is in the wetland review area, and we did go to the wetland commission to review this. In the course of that process, the fire marshal had previously said that he needed this paved. So they do go, when you say off-road, they don't go into dirt roads, I acknowledge that, but they do go off a public road. And originally they said that they wanted this paved. After conversations with wetlands and going back to the fire marshal after what wetlands requested, the fire marshal is okay with this being, the apron just being paved and the remainder of it being essentially compacted gravel. So it won't stay a dirt road. It obviously will be to accommodate the load of a fire truck.
Right, that's exactly right. So the chief did say they don't go off-road, meaning off any path or road or whatever, but they will go onto a processed material. So the fire chief was okay with having that road access way be compacted processed material. And I think to your point, obviously they're going to do whatever they need to do in an emergency to address the situation.
Right.
But in an ideal world, they don't want to have to block traffic on 22 if they can get off of the main state highway using a processed access way to also connect to the building. They'll do that. So they're hopefully that will never happen, but they're trying to plan for the situation where it would occur. The other thing I just wanted to mention is our conversations with the police chief. We were talking about his concerns with the intersection of Auger Road and 22, but we were also saying with only 5 employee parking spaces there, they would be the people using it most frequently. And hopefully, since it's so few people, the property owner can then talk with the employees and say, please use common sense when you're exiting out of the driveway, you know, because the concern is someone taking a left and then someone speeding down the road or stacking up, you know, things like that. The other thing on the plan is that it does say right turn only, but the police chief was kind of mixed about that. He wasn't set in stone saying that that had to be there. And he did say that he wouldn't encourage trucks going into the neighborhood by taking the right only. So I think that is something.
Out of here?
Yeah,
Going
yeah.
right over,
Yes.
going
Yeah.
up to Tota?
Yes.
Towards Tota?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we may want to take
Yeah.
that off
Yeah.
and not have that.
Yeah, we have no preference. It was the right-hand turn only sign there was, quite frankly, my idea, just to sort of accommodate the concerns of the left-hand turn. So how, and I asked the police chief squarely, better with it, better without it, and he sort of was neutral. So we have no qualms with taking it off, or however, whatever signage is appropriate there. We would expect that there would be some sort of signage there that says employee only, private property, however, whatever signage is necessary there, that's obviously.
So it's clear for patrons not to park down there.
Right.
The other thing that the police chief brought up was that he's going to bring to the local traffic authority a preemptive request to have, or to look into no parking signs along Auger Road. Which I think is not a bad idea, and that's all their purview because it's a town road. But just to get ahead of any potential desire for people to try and even park there, which I don't even know if it's possible, but just so you
Can
know.
I just,
Excuse me, do people still fish in that area?
I believe
In
so.
Farm River?
I mean, I know there's one
Yeah.
person in town who is a regular, you know, he's very involved in wetlands and he fishes along there, but.
Go ahead, Trish.
can I just, because I have to admit, like, I'm struggling with the whole old adage, do what you need to do, don't ask permission, ask forgiveness later. I mean, that's really what was done. What was done was in the best interest of the applicant and not clearly the process and the public. And I'm just struggling with how the police chief went from having a concern to now he's not, because I feel like it's one of those, oh, we feel bad, he already did it, so let's try to make this work. So I just kind of want to.
I don't think that was what they were saying. Basically saying that it's not optimal, but it's also not a game stopper.
I just want from
Yeah.
Kerry like a little
Oh,
bit more
yeah,
insight
you
into
want
that conversation, because he was pretty adamant in the beginning that he didn't like that being used, but now it's okay. How did that come about?
Well, if I may carry, he was not adamant about it not being used. The only thing that he
Can I just have
expressed.
Kerry answer?
Well,
Yeah.
So the meeting that I had with Sylvia and Alex and the police chief was that we went over the proposed changes, and he said that he, had concerns about Auger Road and Route 22, but that he wants to see this business succeed. Like he said, it's not a game changer, not a game stopper or whatever, to have that as an access point. He just has these concerns because of, like we just talked about, people coming down Auger Road, traffic coming out. If there's some agreement, some common sense that's used by, again, having limited parking spaces, so few people parking down there off-peak, if, deliveries or trash pickup, to just try and limit that interaction or potential backup of vehicles stacking up and a truck trying to come out. So he just tried to explain a little bit more. He said, my comments haven't changed at all.
Okay.
It's more that he wants to know that he wants everyone to know. He's not going to shut down the project, but his concerns are still there.
And do you, what was DOT's comments?
So DOT is looking for a revised plan showing that the access on 22 is no longer, the second access on 22 is no longer, so the loading access. DOT is focused on the state highway, so they want to reduce the number of curb cuts.
That's their main focus for DOT.
Right.
Anytime we do like Route 80, or
That's
2217,
we have to
the
do
first
the
thing
other
they
roads.
say is, can you use any existing curb cuts? Because that is their main focus,
Okay.
is trying to keep, limit the pulling in.
traffic.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's their main focus on that. So.
And Carrie, since the question was addressed to you all, when we started the meeting with the police chief was surprised that we were having another conversation about this access because he didn't see it as an obstacle to modifying the application.
Well, and I think he was also surprised because I revisited it with him as well, saying, can I get your comments? And he said, you already have my comments. And I said, well, I just want to revisit the plans because there's been some changes with, the right turn only and limiting the number of parking, the turnaround down below. But I think he was more surprised, planning and zoning would potentially deny a project because of his comments. And my feeling was, well, you're a department head, we value your input, especially when it comes to traffic safety. We want to get your
We
take.
actually rely on his
Right.
comments.
Right.
And his comments before you clearly state that his concerns are not a reason to not allow the access. And we did review, I did explicitly ask him, is there anything else that we can do, whether shifting in one direction or another, whatever he thought we could do to accommodate his concerns. And there wasn't anything additional.
So along those lines, speaking about the access as potential conditions, so I did draft a motion because it would have to be a motion to modify the original approval, citing the revised plans, and some special conditions that I would recommend based on comments from the town engineer is that the driveway apron at the entrance on Auger Road be paved for the width of the access at a minimum length of 20 feet, and that the guardrail revisions, so the guardrail, they're proposing to open it up to have the applicant coordinate with the Director of Public Works on that. And then the town engineer also requested that there be curb stops up in the parking area, the customer parking area, because remember that's raised and then it slopes down. So they are proposing plantings along there, but until those are established, he just wanted to have something in there to prevent people from driving over.
I mean, is there a way we could use the existing parking lot for trash removal?
I brought that
Yeah.
up, but they says it's for future planning, they can't move it, so I guess that's out of scope. I mean, I understand.
You know,
it's
I don't
trash.
know how far like a propane truck's thing goes, hose.
Probably about 100 feet. I mean, they do about 25 to 30 yards to get to my tank.
I mean, here, see, this is the problem we run into when,
Well, the whole thing is that this plan should have came to us first.
before, yeah.
We can look at it, we can go out to the, police
And work
commission,
together.
the fire commission, have our concerns, and then they can see it. But instead, it went through all the other processes first and then came back here. So, but yeah, there are, we could have probably looked at this and said, here's some alternatives to think about, and can we move that? But now, since a lot of this is already done, there's not much recourse. Either just say, stick with the original site plan, and you can't do those changes, or we make it where we can work together. But it seems like some of the suggestions we have with the parking lot are completely off the table. Or using that for the loading area, at least have the trucks come into that area. I mean, I agree that the employee parking, a few cars going in and out would be no different than what's happening there on the property now, where there's folks coming in to work on the fields and different things like that. So whether it's some of the DeFrancisco's ATV or some using that, or employees going in and out earlier in the day and later at night, I don't have an issue with that. But I'm just going back to what the public said and what our concerns were, was that Auger Road extension, having trucks infrequently or whatever size they might be, we don't know, frequency may change or whatever, going up and down Auger Road is not what we really wanted to see there. That's what the public said. That was my comments of approval, is that because the entrance on 22 would make it, that intersection would not be a factor. So I'm with you. I agree with you, Trish.
The other thing is, now, we're going to be punishing Alex because there's a farm down the road with a stable and a training and a dog training barn and with a lot of traffic. Now, they're using it, and there are trucks going in there, I assume, with grain and hay and stuff like that, and it's not a problem. Now, a propane truck, which is half the size of a fire truck, is a problem now, which is half the size of
It's the
a hay
proximity
wagon.
to the intersection.
A hay wagon. Now, that being said, then the question was the garbage truck. We were told that it wouldn't be the full-size one. He can contract to have a smaller truck come in once a week, and it'd be half the size of a fire truck. Now, the restriction is there's going to be too much traffic and the road isn't wide enough. Well, that's not his problem, that's a town problem.
No.
The road, if the road is insufficient to handle a fire truck turning into his property, then,
Oh, no,
the problem is with...
It can handle it. It can handle the truck. The main question was the intersection. The stable down the road is down the road. It's not about a car turning on 22 or exiting off a road and going down to the stables. It's coming just out of that intersection, because you're coming off a hill coming down, and you're also coming immediately. As soon as you turn, you're coming up to that entrance. That's all it is. That's where 15 or 12 to 15 accidents over a year and a half were, at that intersection. The farm, the stables you're talking about, down the road.
Right.
So that doesn't have an impact. He has a driveway pulling out, and we looked at that, making sure, and I think, Bill, you brought it up, making sure that it was offset to some of the property owners' driveways and their houses. So they're coming on there. Whatever direction they go is a different story. They're going to go down the hill up to the intersection. This is because cars are pulling in and out of a quick turn. That's what it is. As soon as you turn on Auger Road, it's right there. That's the only
Now,
concern.
is that an Alex problem, or should the state put a traffic light?
No.
Should the town expand a road to be sufficient?
We do the same thing on Tucker Road. We don't allow trucks through. There's no through trucks. This doesn't have to be a sign there. But on Tucket, unless they're doing business on Tucket, you're not supposed to have a truck out there.
Do you
not
remember
a town.
the sand pit problems we had?
I'm just going
Right.
to tell you.
I'm saying is,
but
a sign does not stop anything.
The reason why that quarry, if you want to call it, because they said they were just going to their business, so that was what they were using, or leaving their business. So they used that and got around that. But on Tucket, it's not a somebody who lives there. It's a narrow road. It's not a town problem. That's the road. That's the way it's on on our maps. And we're not going to expand a road unless there's an absolute need for it. All I'm saying is that that's a whole different subject, and I don't think we need to go into that. This is what we have. When we approved it, we had some concerns over it. If you feel comfortable with what the changes are, then there's an application, and it can be approved or denied. But I'm just saying, we're not going to be changed. It's not the town's issue. That's the road. The only thing that has to be done is, besides what Sylvia said, is some of the pavement and some of the apron and some of the crushed stone, is expand the guardrail opening, so to accommodate trucks.
To alleviate the Auger Road exit, coming out of the farm road, if there was a sign that said right turn only, they wouldn't have to go up the hill to get onto Forest Road. They'd hook around through Village Street.
I'm not talking about cars leaving. I'm talking about cars coming down and trucks pulling out or whatever it might be. That's my concern. Because it's very quick from either side. That's
The
my
concern with the right turn only is just sending trucks into the neighborhoods or down that portion of Tucket that's like a roller coaster.
Yeah, that's not good. That's too
But
bad.
I mean, the propane tanks service the houses in
Sure.
that area.
Yeah.
And the garbage
Sure.
trucks service the houses, so
Sure.
to alleviate going out to Forest Road, a right-hand turn only,
But
once
then
a-
you're not
one
guaranteed they're going
truck-
to listen to that, though.
Well, that's where the
I often don't
police
listen
chief-
to left
yeah.
or right
They already
turn only.
commented on it. It's
Yeah.
not.
Right.
It's not.
That's
Right.
You'd rather not have them go that way.
The police
Yeah.
chief said that as well, that the sign is only as good as the sign, I mean.
Yeah,
there-
people
It's not
don't-
enforceable, it's on private property, so.
I'm trying to gauge, I was going to just ask, maybe reiterate the amount of trucks and types of trucks you anticipate. Because I know, not all the, I mean, you're getting grain from somewhere else, right? You're not growing the grain, so
Well, they're either.
you're getting
they-
ingredients from the farm, but I think the
So
grain is not. So
anything other
you're
than-
getting trucked grain in, right?
Sure.
So
let me-
that's pretty
let me-
regular,
Let me
right?
itemize, I guess, is sort of give you the laundry list of what would be coming in. A propane truck would be coming in to fill the tank once, at most, twice, because it's a decent sized tank. And just to reiterate what I said last time around, the propane tank only fuels the brew house and the little fireplace. So it's not used for the building general heating purposes. So there would be a propane tank once or twice a month, so we're talking about 2 trips.
Yep.
The dumpster, going back to the original application, this brewery is intentionally a farm brewery where the waste that's so-called created is going to be utilized in other fashions. So like the waste that's, so to speak, from the actual beer process is a commodity that other farms intend to use, so that will actually be put in totes, I think was the word that was used, and will be put on a gator and taken off-site. So this dumpster is napkins. I mean, we're talking about incidental stuff, because it's not, they're not going to be disposable cups, they're going to be washed on site, that kind of thing. So again, once a month, maybe twice a month. My understanding from Alex is that his preference is to have so little garbage that he's just putting it on a gator and taking it out, because there's no need for additional costs and so forth. Anything else that's coming onto the site is going to be by farm vehicle. So if there's something that the farm doesn't produce in and of itself, it's going to be coming onto the farm property with a farm vehicle. So if it's grain, for example, it'll be on a farm vehicle,
Where,
like a gator or a tractor.
where's
probably a gator.
where's the grain getting delivered to get it onto the gator then? You're not growing the grain on site, so
Right.
you're getting it from a supplier. So
Right.
the supplier is going somewhere else?
And like most of the deliveries for this, whether it's the tile or anything else, has been going to the farm up the road. They've been-
Where is the grain going? Because you're going to regularly get grain. I mean, grain's the biggest ingredient.
Originally, whenever.
Water and
the
grain is
comes
the
in.
main ingredient, so you're getting a lot of grain. If you're successful, you're going to be getting a lot of grain.
Right. Alex, is it going to be consistent with other things where the grain is going to be delivered to the farm, and then whatever you need for the brewery will get brought down by a gator? Is that accurate, or?
I'm not allowed to speak.
Yeah, you're the applicant.
Yeah, no, the majority of the deliveries are to the main farm, just like how the main farm accepts deliveries for over 100 years at that farm address. And then with appropriate vehicle from the farm, it gets brought from the existing farm to that part of the farm with the farm vehicle, whether it's the gator, one of the small farm trucks that is accustomed to that road and is accustomed to that parcel of land.
So if that's the case, the only thing we're talking about is the propane and the dumpster. So why can't we just move the dumpster? And then we can call this a day. I mean, I'm just saying, we're talking about a dumpster. A movable
Is there any,
dumpster.
Let me just
I don't know,
assure you,
that the right-hand side, if you're facing this way, where the piles are, there's like room there, but is that where?
Where we,
Yeah, I'm pointing to this, but I'm talking about the existing situation now with the piles of dirt.
over here.
So over there on the right, it looks like there's space on the side. But is that where, is that actually
Yeah.
where,
So,
is that actually where the parking's going to be?
meaning in the future, if expansion is necessary?
No, if you look at the, actually, if you look at the actual site now, there's the piles of dirt. On the side, it looks like there, it almost is like an access driveway that you could drive on the side.
So there is a
There's
farm
space.
road. There is another farm road that goes, I don't have it located in the plan, or
It's
sort of going
right,
down this way.
yeah, it's right
Um,
next to the piles.
Well, there,
It's not far from it.
okay, so you're not thinking about the road that goes on, there's, right now, the pile has, just to maneuver around the pile, there's
Mhm.
what might look like an access way, but they're not. It's just
Right.
where the.
I
where
would,
the
I guess
pile
my
is.
point is if that's not being utilized, why can't you just push off a space and put a dumpster
So.
and access it?
We absolutely discussed putting a dumpster back there. That was discussed, and.
I'm not saying back there, I'm saying in front, so you'd go to Harry and Trish's point, go in the front parking area, but it would just be, you wouldn't even take off
a parking space, because it would just be an area for a dumpster only.
Well,
Wait,
the
wait,
parking
excuse me.
is, the parking is right up against the setback, so we can't put anything in front.
Am I hearing you want to put a dumpster on Forest Road as opposed to hidden
No.
away in the back of the building?
I'm not
You could
saying
be
that at
close.
all. What I'm saying is, that whole parking area, if you look at the existing, if you went to the site now and looked at it, there's a lot of space to the right that you could just extend this parking lot out and put a dumpster, not on Forest Road. It could be set in the back of the parking area, but it'd be in the parking area.
So
And then the concerns I'm
roughly-
hearing from a couple of us would be allayed, and we could
So
move
roughly
forward.
where the pile right now that's there is, so I sort of think about an orientation to the rain garden that's been put in. So what appears to look like a driveway at the moment is actually far closer to what the rain garden is. So if I was to locate the pile, it'd probably be right there, right in the center. So there is more parking that's intended that way.
That was my point. So there's more parking, yeah.
Yeah.
That was an issue.
Yeah, that's my only point of orientation from, where
So
the rain garden that is there.
there's no ability to push this out a little farther, to carve out a little
The
part?
parking
Yeah, the upper parking going to the right. There's no
to push the whole parking
opportunity.
over?
Or just
Nope,
to
just
have-
to extend the parking lot, even if you didn't want other parking spaces, just to carve out a little space to put a dumpster where once or twice a month, they could come and take it away.
The issues we have going further this way is we're going into the wetland review area.
Well, you still have some space.
With the grading, there isn't. And your grading plan, if I put through, the lines essentially go right.
And how far, if the propane tank were to go into the parking lot, how far away is the propane tank from like a propane truck?
Into this parking, is in this?
Hmm?
Well, all of the things that fuel the tank are on this side of the building.
I know, but like their hose, would their hose be able to get to it from that far away as well?
How far is it from the first parking, roughly? Yeah.
What I can, it's 30, the porch length is 36.
So it's about 75.
But they have
75.
Why can't the
85.
propane trucks go into the parking lot as well? Because again, if all the road extension, the driveway is supposed to be just used for emergency vehicles and employee I feel like we could come to a compromise, especially over public concerns and safety. Leave the road, that driveway as access for emergency vehicles and employee parking, and then move the propane deliveries and the dumpster over to there. We're trying to work
With the
together
propane-
at the.
With the propane tank, the building is obviously a fixed thing. So even if the truck pulled back here, they'd have to go all the way, they'd navigate, and I
I like the
Well, they wouldn't
front.
necessarily have to navigate, you'd have to check with the propane,
Just the
it
front.
depends where they parked and how far the hose was, but whatever the case. I mean, just the idea of moving the dumpster over there and making most of your deliveries from the parking lots, I mean, it sounds like the grains are gonna be coming from, and it's most of the other stuff from other deliveries, so, I mean, I just don't,
We're talking about 2 vehicles a month, 4 vehicles a month at most.
We're talking about, if you really want to get to it, we're talking about to be honest with you, if the loading dock, if you would have came here first, we would have had general concerns with the propane tank being in the loading dock. We could have had a discussion and probably come to a resolution of
And
where it
avoid
is.
all this.
We could have looked at a number of different issues, but you chose not to. And the main thing is that we want to limit any activity coming out of that entrance onto Auger Road. And I'm just going to be perfectly clear. If you're not willing to compromise on something as simple as a garbage bin, how do you expect this commission, that we're trying to make it work, we're trying to do what the public mentioned, what this commission talked about, and we're trying to keep that in mind of the approval while we're trying to help you of things you've already done. But you're unwilling to compromise one little thing about taking a look at the garbage thing and moving it over into near the parking lot. It doesn't have to be in the front of it. It could be shielded so nobody would know it's there, like most places do. But you're unwilling to compromise for that. And all I'm saying is that my concern is, and the public's concern, and some folks here, is we want to limit what happens on Auger Road, because it is one area that we have seen that has a number of incidents, and we do not, this commission, and I'll speak for myself, and we do not want to have any accidents occur, and God forbid something happened, because there was comments from the public and this commission. Now you're asking us to change that directly. So I just want to make that clear.
So, let me just be clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not willing to compromise on the dumpster. What I'm saying to you is that we did attempt to locate it in different locations, and I wish it was one change and nothing else changed with it. But between the wells and the septic systems and a variety of things, one thing or another led to it back over here. So we've talked about having a dumpster off-site, and Alex taking any garbage onto the farm so that it's not even on site, so we didn't need to do that. We've talked about having it down this way. We've talked about moving in one direction or another. The 75-foot radius from the existing well, which is down here, causes us issues. This well causes us issues. So I'm not trying to be short with you in the sense of that we're not willing to compromise. It's just a much more complicated situation.
Well, no, because the original plan was not complicated. It went through fine. Everything was planned and taken care of, and now we have this. So it was fine then. If you wanted to have a discussion on alternatives, gladly would have had that. But again, these are things, most of them are already completed, and now we can't find a spot for a dumpster, so we can just make sure that most of the loading deliveries can go through the parking lot, because like you said, the grains and all that are coming through there. The rest of it could be just incidentals, like maybe you're ordering for a party or whatever, stuff's coming in. There's no reason why they can't use the main parking, especially if it's soft time. That's just my comment. That's all.
So, just so I have some clarity to discuss with Alex, with regard to the dumpster, is an off-site dumpster an option? Again, this is a farm property, the property is still in the farm name. Alex is just leasing this little plot here for if he located the dumpster on the farm and not on the site at all. So that eliminates the one vehicle. Is that something that is amenable?
Well, that, and again, I don't know about propane trucks, but I'm sure they have longer hoses, or, those incidentals when a truck pulls in, they could go into the main parking lot and not there. I feel like the main parking lot could be used for other activities as well.
We can get to this. We're happy to have a conversation with the propane company and ask them and figure out a way so that they can fill the propane tank from this. This is the preferred access, I'll call it the primary access. So I'm not suggesting that there can't be trucks in this area. I'm aware that there's, between the cross sections and so forth, additional traffic on Forest is also an issue, so we try to juggle between the issues and, 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. So if it's a matter of, if it's feasible for a propane truck to pull into the main lot and fuel that way, then we're happy to do that.
Because I forget, where was the propane tank originally?
It was in the ground, in the back.
So the truck would have been pulling in there?
Well, originally, the propane truck would be pulling in the old bus driveway, sort of however long they needed to extend the hose to get back there.
That might be further, or even, it might be less if it didn't. Yeah, I just, again, I don't know propane life, but I'm sure they have really long hoses, because.
Yeah, I mean, so if it's a matter of using that as the primary access, done.
Well, it's not, that, yes, but it's also the safety, because again, when you don't know that route, when cars get stacked up going down Auger Road, and if somebody's trying to take a left, now they're blocking, now a car takes a left, they're stacked up, it really, it's about the safety. So if we could say primary access is that, that's great.
Alex is committed to scheduling these things off hours, so whether that's in the I'm expecting evening would be more of a traffic than the early morning, and schedule them intentionally and only when there isn't that kind of stacking up. So if it's 5 in the morning, I don't, well, you would know better than I would, but I wouldn't expect that there would be staffing up at 5 in the morning. So he's committed to scheduling these private companies at times that won't cause that problem.
Would do propane trucks
Actually,
do that? Do
when
garbage
we're able
trucks
to
do that?
schedule
No.
it, it's, because I had some concerns about delivering propane while the place is filled with people, but if you could schedule it at times when you're not having people in the brewery, you could go
Yeah,
right
so
in front and do
brewery's
it.
an evening or weekend
Yeah,
thing.
so if you were during in the morning, they could go right in the front parking lot.
You know, if there was a big concern about the propane tank, if you double up the tanks, you'll reduce the deliveries in half. So 50% of the deliveries, now, I don't know what the rental of a tank is, so I'm talking off the top of my head. But if you had, what size tank?
I was actually, do you know what that is, sir?
500.
So if
Oh,
you,
it's small.
yeah, that's a small tank. So if you put two 500s,
You get
Yeah.
1,000.
you get
But
1,000, you know,
it's a-
then that reduces your deliveries in half. There's less trucks.
Well, but it's a $500 or 500 gallon tank for, I mean, they're not using it for heat. That's not the source of the heat.
Right.
Other than and I can't imagine July.
No, I was addressing the number of trucks accessing the road. And, you know, two tanks would cut the deliveries in half.
Yeah, I like the parking lot being used for primary access for propane, other deliveries that might be coming through, and then, I don't know, like, there's, catering, and then, obviously, you know, as Alex mentioned, the farm gators have always been going in and out there, so if the gators are constantly taking stuff in and out there, well, not constantly, I take that back, but, you know, doing farm stuff, the emergency vehicles, and then obviously the dumpster. You guys are willing to do it off-site, fine, or put it up there on the parking lot.
I still think you need one on site when you start catering events.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, it's gonna be outside. You know, now you start talking winter and stuff, and you can't take it back.
It just sounds like some changes need to be made. And I don't know where that leaves us in this process of.
I mean, some of the changes that we talked about, you know, are just having them utilize the parking lot. So, I mean, there's not a change that we need to, that would affect this.
Well, there's like a new application.
No, I mean, it's all, it's a site
Modification,
it's a site plan modification. So all we have to do is, they gave those to us, so all we're gonna do is either approve it or don't approve it. So how this works is that's their new site plan, that's how they want it.
This
If-
right
Right.
here.
Yeah, so. if
Nothing of what we
if-
just talked
if-
about.
if the- What's that?
The site plan we would approve or not approve tonight is what's in front of us,
We'll
and
put a-
not what we just talked about?
We'll put a special condition in there saying about the, you know,
Deliveries.
we
in
can
the
write
front.
something on there
Deliveries in
about
the front, not the
deliveries
back.
to the, you know, we can put something in there. The dumpster, that's a whole different story again. I mean, offsite, onsite, I mean, but if we did not approve this, they'd have to go back to the original site plan. So I just want to make sure that we're clear on, I mean, if there's not 3 votes for it, what would happen, it would automatically revert to the original site plan. So I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I just need to be
Just-
clear on
yeah.
what, what we are or are not approving and conditions we're
We
putting in.
can add the conditions, let's get through all our questions first, but then if
Okay.
there's, if you're, you know, I'll go through this, and I don't want to jump the gun, but we'll talk about what it would need to be approved,
Okay.
or if somebody's not going to approve it,
Okay.
or, you know, we can have a discussion on that
Okay.
after we make a motion, if we get to that point tonight.
If a condition's made not to have a dumpster in the back and it's on the plan though, does it need to be revised, or can that be a condition?
It can be.
Revise the plan.
Right.
Revise the plan. Or any other thing.
Wait, say that again? We could make
No,
a
I
change
was just,
tonight?
I was wondering, because if we
If we're making condition to something that exists on this plan, we want it to be removed. The question was, can we still approve it with that condition, even though it's listed, but we can't?
Okay.
Like if dumpster, for example, I don't want to use it, I'm not saying anything about the dumpster, but if we use that as an example, if we say we don't want the dumpster there, but it's showing on the plan, we can make the condition that the
Okay.
dumpster not be in the back or be somewhere else.
Does anybody else have any questions or needs any clarification? Yay, nay? Trish, are you good right now?
Yes.
Okay.
I think, can I just add one thing?
Yes, please.
So just from my perspective, obviously, as Sylvia mentioned, this is not ideal, the way that this is all unfolded, especially since the project is under construction. But we are where we are, so it seems like, we're all trying to work together to just keep this project moving forward in whatever capacity where everyone's comfortable with it, and that's where we've done a lot of legwork of talking with the police chief, fire marshal, town engineer, DOT, but, to try and reach some level of consensus. So in that sense, I think looking at the modifications, that's, the direction to move towards, because that's what you're trying to plan for expansion, which I think is a good idea. With expansion comes a lot of other things, so it was like a domino effect of triggering building code, triggering new well location or potential future well location, moving the dumpster, regrading the parking lot, handicap accessibility, like all of those things. And it just wasn't coordinated, I think, in hindsight, as well as it could have been. But kind of we are where we are, so, yeah.
I need help, but I guess normalizing this, like how, because that's what I'm struggling with. And you know how I talk about like setting precedents, like I just, how often does this happen? Where I don't want to set a precedent where come build in North Branford and you can do whatever you want and then, kind of put this pressure on the commission. I'm also struggling with that.
So Trish, over the 14 years, and Bill could probably attest to, we've been 12 roughly, and Ron, so.
Okay.
There are folks who will bring in a site plan and then modify it, and before they do the modifications on the actual physical modifications on the property, we'll come and go through staff and everything.
Mhm.
There are some that don't. What we do is just like we're doing here.
We do this.
This isn't the first time.
Okay, that helps.
We try to work with the applicant. We know that things come, when they're building, also something comes up.
Okay.
So, there are times, and usually are fairly minor, all of a sudden they change something, whatever it might be, but it's fairly minor.
Okay, that's helpful.
Yeah, so it does occur.
And then we do this and try to work together.
Yeah,
Okay.
which we're doing now. Yep. So what I just need to get before we do any discussion is I just need to get a consensus because, again, it would matter of how any motion is made. So I'm going to ask each one for just a straw vote, just a yay or nay, and it could be with conditions. We can talk about the conditions, but I just need to know which way we should start the conversation on this. So what I'm asking is, according to the new site plan and potential some other conditions that we can look at, if you're in favor of it, I just need a yay or a nay. So I just want to get an idea of where we're going. It's called a straw vote. So,
Yay with the conditions.
okay, Ron?
I'm good with it.
Okay, as is?
Yes.
Okay, Bill?
I'm a yay with some conditions,
Okay.
a condition.
All right. So, we have the applicant here. The conditions, do you have an idea of what you're thinking is about some additional conditions?
It was favorable when it was said that parking lot becomes primary access, propane tank and other deliveries are there, and either dumpster up there or off-site. And well, I guess so those would be conditions. And then the use of the Auger Road is emergency, the typical gate or farm use, and employee parking.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they're super successful, but with that comes additional deliveries, and I think we've had enough talk about the concern of Auger Road, and I think we just have to limit deliveries there. So to Tricia's point,
Yeah, I
we have
mean-
to just kind of limit. If it's employee parking, emergency vehicles, it's a no-brainer. It's just, it's going to be a lot of other things.
I mean,
It's a concern.
yeah, I mean, I didn't want to see access on there. I understand now because of things moving around that there has to be some limited access to it. Employee parking, again, I don't have an issue with that. I mean, it's not optimal, as that word's being used by fire chief, police chief, and it's not optimal. I would like, I mean, that limit, my condition, I would, when it comes to dumpster would have to be moved to at least the north or the east side of the building. So it's accessible from the parking lot. And they would have to go back and try to figure out a way to make it work. I mean, I think we're more than accommodating to a number of the changes. Again, if it wasn't for the suppression unit or the connection for the fire department being moved to the back, I wouldn't, because that was originally in the front. I would not be in favor of this by any means. But there has been some changes on that. So limited access, I'm okay with. Again, the one condition is, Trish, which you mentioned, a number of ones that you mentioned, but also the moving the dumpster to at least the north or east.
I think, well, north and east would be within the setbacks, so I think it would have
Well,
to be
behind the
like
building,
west.
behind the building and to the right of the building. I'm not sure what the directions
Back
are.
here?
Well, I mean, on that, anywhere that was accessible from the front
Parking
parking
lot.
lot.
From the parking
lot.
Yeah,
From the main
yeah,
parking lot.
from the main parking lot. And actually, I don't even have to use direction, access from the main.
Yeah.
So, so, you got kind of a gist? So,
Yes, so dumpster shall be located in the main parking area.
Or at least accessible from the main the main parking area. You might want to use the word primary.
Yeah, I like the primary access.
Loading and primary loading.
I mean, loading access is what's in our regs.
Primary loading access would be from 22. I mean, from 22.
And to be honest, I don't know how we would enforce the limited deliveries off of Auger Road, but do you want to have a condition along those lines?
Well, that's, I mean, that would be, I mean, I think the name of the brewery, we'll have to put, stewards will, I mean, I think we're working with them, I think they will do their best to,
Mhm.
like, it is primary, and we understand that, you go look at, you talk to your propane, and they say, well, if I can get to the back part of the parking lot, maybe I do have a hose that go across and connect it. Maybe it's not even safe to do that, so they would have to use the Auger Road. I'm hoping they don't have to, but I'm just saying, here's, let's explore those
So
options.
access off Auger Road shall be used for limited deliveries?
Well, I wouldn't, no,
Oh.
I would leave it as it is.
Oh, I
Right,
see.
you know what I'm saying?
Primary
It's-
access from the
Primary
main
access
parking
is
lot.
22,
Okay,
I mean,
Primary access for
I would
deliveries.
hope that they.
just an agreement. you're
Yeah, I
saying.
would just hope that they would do, what we intended on the initial public hearing, to limit that access there. That's
Okay.
pretty much it. So I'll just read them back.
So it's just that one.
Okay. Oh, no, we want to add the primary. We want to add the primary.
You do want to have.
Yeah,
that
no, I'm saying we do
information.
want to say that, but we don't have to identify that the Auger Road extensions for emergency vehicle and employee parking, all that. It's evident on the site plan.
So,
Primary access for delivery should be from
I see.
22, Route 22.
I don't think we need to mention the employees because the parking's already back there.
Yeah.
Get ready, it's coming your way.
And you have less,
After the
you have less than 3 minutes to read
Yeah.
it.
You don't want me to read that.
primary access for delivery shall be from Route 22.
Correct.
Access for deliveries.
The main parking lot? I
From
mean?
Yeah, I was
Route
gonna say-
22
Main parking
Main
lot?
parking.
parking entrance. Parking entrance.
Something
From
like
Route
that, yeah.
22.
Parking entrance.
Parking.
Yeah, parking lot, perfect.
Do you have the other one?
Who?
Yes.
No, I just want
Oh,
to,
yeah.
so I just want to read these so that we carry both down. So we have some original conditions shall remain in effect. The driveway, so these are special conditions.
Additional condition.
Yeah, these are additional, 3 additionals to the 2 we just talked about. The driveway apron at the entrance on Auger Road shall be paved for the width of the axis and the minimum length of 20 feet. That's per fire chief.
Yep.
Guardrail revision to the existing guardrail at the proposed Auger Road access shall be coordinated with and meet the approval of the Director of Public Works. What that means is that guardrail that's 35 feet needs to go to 43 feet, and that's the applicant's responsibility to work with Fran to do that.
Yep.
Curb stop shall be provided at the parking lot. Sylvia covered that. Then the 2 additional ones we have, dumpster should be located or accessible from primary loading access from Route 22. Oop, I gotta make that, let me change that. Dumpster should be located or accessible from primary access from Route 22 parking lot. So I just want to make sure that
Yep.
the wording's the
The
same.
same.
Yeah. And then the second one would be primary access for delivery shall be from Route 22.
Main parking.
Yeah, from Route 22. Okay. All right.
There you go, Trish.
I move to approve the proposed modifications to Planning and Zoning Application 2018-17, site plan associated with the special use permit originally approved on January 3rd, 2019, at 418 Forest Road, map 51, lots 38 and 38-1, R40 zone, odor J.D. Francesco and Son, Inc., applicant Stewards of the Lamb Brewery, LLC, and J.D. Francesco and Son, Inc., as described in the revised drawings prepared by Knopfus and Young Engineers, Inc., 1355 Middletown Avenue, Northford, Connecticut, entitled Proposed Farm Brewery, 418 Forest Road, North Branford, Connecticut, as listed below. Sheet 2 of 9, property survey dated November 2nd, 2018, revised November 5th, 2018. Sheet 3 of 9, site plan dated November 2nd, 2018, revised August 23rd, 2019. Sheet 4 of 9, septic plan dated November 2nd, 2018, revised August 22nd, 2019. Sheet 5 of 9, grading plan dated November 2nd, 2018, revised August 23rd, 2019. Sheet 6 of 9, erosion control plan dated November 2nd, 2018, revised August 23rd, 2019. Sheet 7 of 9, soil erosion and sedimentation control dated November 2nd, 2018. Sheet 8 of 9, landscaping plan dated November 2nd, 2018, revised August 23rd, 2019. Sheet 9 of 9, details dated November 2nd, 2018, revised August 14th, 2019. Next, again, I'm confused. I'm going to say this is also described in revised drawings prepared by the State of Connecticut, Department of Transportation, Connecticut DOT, standard sheet, driveway ramps and sidewalks. Next, drawings revised and prepared by State of Connecticut DOT, standard sheet, bituminous, concrete curving. I'm going to look that one up later. And next, Custom Design and Building Services, LLC, 1054 Clintonville Road, Wallingford, Connecticut, entitled Stewards of the Land Farm Brewery, 418 Forest Road, Northford, Connecticut, as listed below. Drawing number A2, proposed first floor plan dated January 4th, 2019, revised to August 15, 2019. Drawing number A5, north and west elevations dated January 4th, 2019, revised to August 15, 2019. Drawing number A6, south and east elevations dated January 4th, 2019, revised to August 15, 2019. Drawing number A13, south and east elevations dated January 4th, 2019, revised to August 15th, 2019. Drawing number A13, proposed first floor furniture plan dated January 4th, 2019, revised August 15th, 2019. With the following additional conditions, numbers 28 to 30, 28 to 32. Do I need to read
Yeah,
those?
please.
Again, 28 is the driveway apron at the entrance on Auger Road shall be paved for the width of the access and a minimum length of 20 feet. 29 is guardrail revisions to the existing guardrail at the proposed Auger Road access shall be coordinated with and meet the approval of the Director of Public Works. Number 30, curb stops shall be provided at the parking lot top of slope, at least until such time as proposed trees are adequately established. 31, dumpster shall be located or accessible from primary loading access from the Route 22 parking lot. And 32, primary access for deliveries shall be from the Route 22 main parking lot.
Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion?
Did we close the public hearing?
It wasn't a public hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Yes, it was just a site plan modification. Yep. Any other discussion?
Nope.
I mean, I still have concerns with any access onto the road, but things changed on this. But that's what I'm just struggling with. So.
We're in discussion?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just putting that out there. That's where I'm struggling with. All in favor?
Aye.
Was there a second?
I'm sorry.
Ron
Aye,
seconded.
Ron.
I'll second.
Oh, Bill
I
seconded.
second. I
Bill
seconded.
seconded.
Bill?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to have to oppose it. Yep. It passes 3-1.
Thank you, have a good
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, you too. All right, Alex, you have to make a quick move up here. So now being reseated after he recused himself from the previous application, he will be now seated for number 7, new business, application 2019-13. And I want to apologize for you having to wait. If I if I didn't realize that you were, I just asked Carrie, I would have, we could have done these.
Go to a lot of these.
Yeah, but we like to be accommodating.
Yeah, it is here. This Peachtree one?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a public hearing.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah, you may or may not have been here the first time. This was,
I was here.
I thought it was just me, Fran, Joe.
It wasn't me.
Yeah,
There
no.
were piles of asphalt in the property and stuff when there was concerns. Anyway.
Jim Preddy, Frisco Engineering, 118 Parsons Hill Road is this 54-acre piece. Parsons Hill Road is over here. Town line is back on the side. This was a subdivision that was approved in 2006, I believe. It was a plan by others. This is the same property
Where's Parsonage Hill Road?
on this side.
Okay.
This is the same.
Okay.
The same property. The frontage is here. This was approved as 14 lots, some undeveloped land in the back, dead end road, and with possible future extensions to the other large parcel that's on this side over here. For various reasons, the subdivision approval has lapsed. Not all was on the file. The owner, Mr. Charlie Leo, wants construction. He'd like been farmed all these years, since he purchased it. Developed 4 lots, would be 2 front lots, 2 rear lots, with a common driveway for the 2 rear lots, that if in the future this parcel ever gets developed, this would revert, this would become the road, and the 2 driveways to the properties would then be renovated to come off the road instead of on the ground driveway. So we're just looking for 4 lots. This would remain undeveloped. And sometime in the future, if this other piece, which has had some activity, I understand, gets developed, or this does have a tail that crosses into another vacant land on North Haven side, then at that point this would become more viable to be developed. So we have layouts for 4 houses. I put in the possible house shape in here. Here's the 2 driveways that would come off of a common driveway that again would get changed into a town road, something like this ever got developed. These 2 would have access off of Parsonage Hill Road. We did do additional soil testing. This was soil testing was done quite extensively back at the time. The health department has a rule that's actually not in the code, but if the soil test is more than 5 years old, they want to redig just to verify. And we did that. We did perk tests, basically verified everything. Nothing had changed. So we got subdivision approval from East Shore at this point. Early on, we had met with Carrie and Kurt Weiss and to discuss this. This is why it's only 4 at this point. And you guys received a memo from Kurt, and he had 3 comments, and none of this was a surprise. It was stuff that we had talked about. So.
You want me to have Carrie do the comments now?
Sure.
Please.
So the comment from the town engineer, Kurt Weiss, which I received this afternoon, said the following engineering staff comments regarding the above referenced application. The applicant should comply with the provisions of section 62.5.6 Stormwater Management Plan of the zoning regulations. Those are those recent text amendment that you all approved. It says for each of the proposed lots at time of submission of a zoning permit application for each of the proposed lots. The subdivision plan should also contain the note that all lots require the submission of an engineered site plan prior to issuance of a zoning permit. The proposed access for lots number 2 and 3 is over a 50-foot wide strip over remaining land. The proposed easement to lots 2 and 3 should include rights for access and installation of utilities, along with the provision for relinquish said rights if the owner of the remaining land proposes to construct a town road over said strip in the future. Also, the applicant should be aware that we would be looking to have drainage from Parsonage Hill Road be routed to the rear of the parcel within the potential future town road if said future phase of development of the remaining parcel occurs. So I don't know if you just want to speak to that real quick.
Kind of going down real quick, the first one, we need to do individual plans for the health department anyway. So the stormwater for each lot will be addressed at that point because we don't really know what size house is going to be built right now. But it's just a subdivision. So as each lot is sold and the house shows that we would size, and we've shown kind of approximate locations on each one of these where we can handle the stormwater for each one. The access to include utilities. These have on-site wells and septic systems. The only other utility would be power and phone. And so we can do that, and it would revert the town road ever gets built. And then the last one was about there was some improvements in Parsonage Hill Road that coordinated with the new road back at that point, and we had discussed with Kurt that if this in fact does come in the foreseeable future, that we would then address all that stuff, the same items that were associated with that the first time. And that's part of what that's referring to. The other thing was there's a little bit of the property that kind of does drain onto Parsonage Hill Road here, and when we grade these 2 lots, we'll fix that so it all comes to the back.
Any other comments?
The fire marshal had said a preliminary plan review was done in accordance to Connecticut General Statute, NFPA, Connecticut State Fire Safety and Fire Prevention Codes. The following requirements are needed to provide emergency fire department access. The main entrance into the interior parcel must be 50 feet as per print. All lot driveways must maintain a minimum of 16-foot width. All vertical clear access must maintain a minimum of 14 feet. All temporary and permanent roadways must be able to support 80,000 pounds, and all street lots and driveway markings, including house numbers, must be clearly marked and visible during all phases of construction. This office would like to stress the importance of minimizing fire load conditions when possible and keeping combustibles away from heat source objects at your facility. The owner's responsibility to inspect and maintain full compliance with all fire safety code requirements. So I will say, in talking with him, I know he had looked at the prior approval, so I think some of that looks at potential future development, not necessarily 2 lots of frontage and 2 interior lots, which has a very different feel, obviously. The zoning enforcement officer said that erosion and sedimentation controls must be in place prior to any construction, and an adequate track pad must be in place leading up to Parsonage Hill prior to any excavation. East Shore Health said that they've reviewed the proposed subdivision of 4 lots on this property, and each property will be served by private well and on-site septic system. Based on the proposal by Cuscolo Engineering dated 8/5/2019, we recommend approval. The other thing just to mention is that they are requesting a waiver of sidewalks and concrete curbing at this time, which I think makes a lot of sense because it's just 4 lots. And also for any subdivision, there's the requirement of providing open space or fee in lieu of open space. And in talking with the applicant, it sounds like they're more leaning towards the fee, which I think makes sense because.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense because until we know what's going to happen with the rest of the property, that one maybe the piece gets cut off for open space, but in the short term, the fee makes more sense.
Yeah, I think that, I'm just, back in 2006, there's that little piece was just, even with that, there was a little piece that they were going to carve out for, and it's landlocked, so, I mean, it's, either way, but fee in lieu of is the way we like to go, yeah.
What did you say the fire marshal, fire chief was looking at the full plan in his review?
So he had looked at the prior approval
The full
to see
14
what his
lots?
comments were. Yes,
Oh, okay.
and just.
And just use the same.
comparing them.
But he's seen
He's seen this.
road here.
Yes.
'Cause I was just
He's-
wondering how about the fire truck need, I know that he specified 50 feet, which is the code. Is he expecting to turn a fire truck around? Or is he going to have to back out?
He did not say that.
He would be able to pull in.
He'd be able to pull in, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's the plan.
I mean, there's so many
I
interior
thought-
lots in town
Yeah, yeah.
that this
Yeah.
is not. unique.
Plus, when you said he was, I thought you said he was looking at the original one.
Oh,
Had
I
a
see.
turnaround.
I'm sorry,
And
no.
I'm like, well, did he see this? Because does he have a concern with it? But he's seen this, so
Right.
we're good.
Anybody else have any questions?
The
for
other,
him?
can I, sorry, just
Oh, yeah,
one other
sorry.
thing to note
Yep.
is, just in our checklist of items, one of the things is to check with the archaeological department of the state to make sure that there's no issue. But this property, in talking with Jim, had been stripped of all of the material, all of the gravel, so if there was anything there,
It's
it's all
gone now.
been removed. So, I thought that made sense to not have to go to the state because of that. And also our plan does not show this as a highly sensitive area.
It's not a highly sensitive
No.
area.
Do you recall that, I thought there was concern of water from the local neighbors.
Well, that was because
They had to re-drill their wells and there was
well, they were
concern
worried
with-
about the blasting because they were going to, some of the back lots, not up
Yeah.
front, but the back lots, where they were going to have to blast trap rock and stuff away. And
just remember something
that was
like
original, that was something that's irrelevant. It was more in the back, that the folks downstream, that if there was any blasting, may affect, yeah, because it had some well issue, but that was with all, when they had the 17U, not this
We
application.
don't, because we've done some digging here recently, we don't anticipate blasting these lots.
Yeah, I think it was some in the back.
And just, sorry, going back to the open space discussion, I did talk with the land trust, and there was some just back and forth about having open space versus the fee. And if it were to be open space, it would be just over half of an acre, because that's 10% of the 7 acres. So again, to the discussion and the point that we've talked about quite a bit is, what's the benefit of having a small portion of open space and that's an island among privately owned land?
Yeah.
So just to kind of close that loop.
Anything else?
That's all.
Anybody have any questions or anything?
Just curious, how big is the land? How does it touch North Haven?
Oh, the back portion of it, that,
That little skinny, yeah, the ski strip right there.
The Borelli.
Oh, down there.
It's right next to the
Really?
Burley property.
yeah.
Yeah.
How
So-
many acres?
Is it 55?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so where you go back to that tail end there, it goes close to the North Haven side, yeah.
I see, because it's over here.
Anything
That's
else?
That's where the power lines are. I think we're all set here.
I have a motion. You don't have to read the conditions.
I think Alex should read.
He hasn't read yet.
I move to approve planning and zoning application 2019-13, Peach Orchard Estates, 4 lots at 118 Parsons Hill Road, Assessor Map 51A, Lot 8, R40 zone, owner Lancey Construction LLC, applicant Joseph Carleglio, Lancey Construction LLC, as described in the submitted application documents and shown on entitled set of maps. Property located at 118 Parsons Hill Road, North Branford, Connecticut, August 5th, 2019. Owner Lancey Construction LLC, applicant Joseph Carleglio, Lancey Construction LLC, prepared by Chris Cole Engineering LLC, stamped by James Preddy, PE, existing conditions plan sheet 1 of 4, dated August 5th, 2019. Proposed subdivision map sheet 2 of 4, dated August 5th, 2019. Overall site layout plan sheet 3 of 4, dated August 5th, 2019. And erosion and sediment control notes and details sheet 4 of 4, dated August 5th, 2019, with the following conditions: 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 15 through 17.
Through 18.
15, 16, 17, and 18.
Just make sure there's 18 on there.
Yeah. Yep, 18 is on there.
Perfect. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Alex seconds. Any discussion on this? It's pretty straightforward. You know, the previous 17 were approved. I'm not sure. I mean, I remember that was one of my first things. I remember the discussion and everything, but this is less evasive. You know,
We tried to maintain the layout of the first few.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing I will say that changed is that this lot line, we moved about almost 15 feet because we have interior setbacks to deal with.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So we just
Okay. Good.
All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, that passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Yeah,
patience.
thanks.
And if you don't, even if you don't have something in front of us, you enjoy the meeting, so just come and visit us sometime. Thanks again. Have a good night. All right, moving along, we are in other business. Discussion briefly regarding a blight ordinance. The word briefly means briefly. Carrie said she was going to be brief. I'm not. She already said it was going to be brief.
So I just wanted to give an update. So town council had received a request essentially to look into a blight ordinance. So they created a subcommittee, and they requested that there be 2 members from planning and zoning, 2 members from town council, and a member of the public. Am I missing anyone? So the 2 members from planning and zoning are Bill and Alex.
Perfect.
So I think there's been at least 3 meetings.
We've had 3. We're going on 4.
Okay.
4
So I don't know if there's any other update, but George Miller had asked that this be on the agenda to just kind of update everyone.
Perfect.
You have a copy in your packet, but the next step is really to have the committee continue to rework it and then bring it back to town council. I think they're aiming for I don't know.
I think
if it's the second
October date.
Okay, October meeting?
Yeah, because they made a decision Tuesday night at the town council what they're going to do. I think Vin was reaching out to the committee on how to proceed and everything with the elections coming up and stuff like that.
Right.
I know the last meeting, the Blight Committee did decide on having the Planning Zoning Committee be an acting body for the blight ordinance, similar to like how the town council is an acting body for the water pollution. And that was one of the requests that was supposed to come tonight.
And actually take action or just discuss?
See if the planning zoning want to accept that bill. If you remember anything else or to add on to that, but I think that's what we decided that night.
We really can't put anything on the agenda, so it would have to be the
Yeah.
next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it gets moved on, but that's what they requested
Okay.
that night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha, yep. Perfect. Anything else on that, Alex? Bill? You good?
No, I think George Miller and his wife did a lot of the legwork.
Yeah.
The town attorney was present all the time, and he had a lot of experience in it. He had
Yes,
a
yes.
lot of experience from working with different towns, like the town of Orange.
Mhm.
So he brought a lot to it. And Tom Hoogerty actually added a lot as well. So
Right.
well, as Alex and everyone else.
Perfect.
Oh, there were the other thing too that the Blight Committee, I believe, was forwarding to planning zoning was the trash receptacle part. Carrie, did you have anything on that? Since that falls more on planning zoning regulations rather than the blight ordinance, taking care of that. And
I only have what I had sent to all of you, which is the whole draft code, blight code.
because it was dealing with trash receptacles because of the whole
Leaving trash receptacles out.
yeah, leaving them out and everything, and they're trying to incorporate it into the blight ordinance, and then possibly putting fencing around that. But since it's so close to the streets, and then fencing and everything, and how that goes with zoning, they felt planning zoning should weigh in on that.
So that is in here on page 8. They have acceptable and properly packed solid waste and garbage and/or combination thereof qualifies for weekly collection, placed at the curbside as long as all containers are placed at curbside no more than 24 hours prior to, and removed from curbside to a location outside the view of the general public no more than 12 hours after the pickup. So that's included in here. I believe the next meeting of the Blight Committee is the 19th of September.
Yeah, it's right before our next
So
meeting.
how about I continue this item
Yeah.
to the next meeting so we can get a little bit more clarification?
Perfect.
Sound good?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, 'cause I have a huge question about that. So everybody in town has to block their trash receptacles, but I don't know. We'll continue that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I go on vacation, I leave on Saturday, I put it out on Saturday, you're coming over.
Exactly,
to-
somebody's gonna
to-
make big bucks, I guess.
What a great
Somehow.
business we can do.
Yes,
We can start a business, we'll put them back in if you're not home. I like
These
it.
are
We'll
the high
work
school
that out.
kids do it, the
I like
middle
that.
school kids.
All right,
Okay.
town planners report, what do you got for us coming up?
So we have our regular meeting September 19th, and then October 3rd, we have our public hearing on the POCD, which is where we'll wrap that up. And we are still accepting comments on the POCD until the 3rd of October. And then the submittal of the zone change application for both that are listed, I'm going to request that we continue those to the next meeting so I can complete those applications.
Perfect. Anybody not going to be here on the 19th and the 3rd?
I'm not here on the 19th, I just realized.
Okay.
I'm not gonna be here.
Okay,
All right.
I'm here.
thank you.
When will we look at the schedule for 2020?
We usually look at it in December.
Okay, great,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, so we're not going anywhere yet. So what we have is, number 10 is executive session. So Barbara, we have to have some discussions with Barbara. So what we're going to do is in executive session, somebody's making, I need to hear a motion to move to executive.
I motion we move to executive session.
Second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor? Yeah.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.